When the man came running in to Libra's talent, scaring the bejesus out of Mr. Seraph and Lucifer Jones, both of whom had just come back from lunch, the look on his face should have been all the warning he needed. The man's face looked like the face of a child from a German fairy tale. He looked pursued and haggard, and when he saw the old devil standing there, his face took on a condition that had rarely been seen by anyone looking at him in the length of his long life. It was a mixture of relief and hope. Mr. Richard T. Seraph, I need to speak with you desperately about the matter of my talent. Mr. Seraph turned to regard the man, raising his eyebrow as Lucifer looked over at Natalie to see if she had made an appointment with someone while they had been away. You know, it seems that my name is known by so many strangers these days. I'm not used to being so sought after or well regarded, and I find it a little disconcerting. So if you wish to do business, please come in. But if you seek to hustle me, then do so at your own peril. I've been the target of many such attempts lately. The man put his hands up, all smiles, as he took one last glance at the door before coming into the waiting room. No tricks, sir, I assure you. I intend to sell my talent, nothing more. Mr. Jones, show our guest to the back and make sure he's comfortable. I'll be along in a moment. Lucifer took him to the back, telling him how things worked here at Libra's Talent, and as they disappeared through the door, Mr. Seraph looked out the front door as if expecting to see a gang of hoodlums skulking there. The afternoon sun was riding low, evening on its heels, and before he could step back inside, he thought he saw something as it slid into the alley near the drugstore on the corner. It was a gantry, something that slid along across the pavement as they headed back into the protection of the space. And as he blinked, he found he couldn't even be sure he'd seen it at all. He was just about to step inside when he heard it. It was like dead leaves across the concrete, and Mr. Seraph looked for the candy wrapper or the plastic bag that was being dragged by the wind. There was nothing, though, and as the sound persisted and no source seemed to prevent itself, Mr. Seraph felt his teeth come together lightly in a rabbity way that he hated. He was spending too much time around the sheep. He was standing here with his teeth chattering and his spine tingling, like one of the lambs he so often fleeced. He wasn't like them, and the things they feared were not the things he feared. Then that chuckling came again, and Mr. Seraph felt himself shudder in fear. "Sir?" he gasped, spinning to find Natalie smiling placidly at him. "Sir, did you need me to do something? Hold the door for you, maybe?" Mr. Seraph came back in, shaking his head before smiling at the poor lost girl. "No, my dear. You go have a seat and answer the door or the phone if someone comes by. Take names and numbers and tell them we will get back with them soon. Understand?" "Of course, Mr. Seraph. You know I'm always here for you." She walked back to the desk like someone in a dream, and Mr. Seraph reached back and locked the door. Better safe than sorry. He came in towards the middle of the guy's story, and he liked what he heard as he took a seat. "So that's when I started writing for Walden Studios. Maybe you've heard of them." "Of course," Lucifer said. "They made that show that all the kids are goofy over right now. Towesey Home something or another. Towesey Review. But yeah, that one. I've been with them since the beginning, but it's starting to become kind of demanding. The scripts, the grueling writing room conferences, the constant back and forth, the meddling in the episodes, it's all just more than I can take. I'm ready to retire, leave the whole bloody thing behind, and I figured that a sudden bout of writing amnesia is the best way to manage it." Mr. Seraph nodded, but something didn't seem quite right. Why go out like this? Why not finish the show? Mr. Seraph didn't watch TV. Not much. If he was watching, it was usually because he was hoping to find someone on it he recognized, or someone who he might come to know very well. Despite not watching TV much, Mr. Seraph knew that this show was pretty big. It wasn't just popular, it was marketable. And this guy had to be making money hand over fist. That wasn't always as important to some people as it was to him. But many of them were willing to trade their mental health for it, just the same. In the end, the money always motivated them to defile themselves. So, why give it up if it's so lucrative? He asked, Lucifer raising an eyebrow at him as he did. If it keeps your bills paid, and you're good at what you do, then why get rid of it? The guy laughed, but it didn't sound like a friendly laugh. Geez, pal, do you want to buy my talent or not? Sounds like you're kind of picky. Oh, I buy a lot of talent, Mr. Walter, he said. Walter Caffrey. Well, Mr. Caffrey, we buy talent here, but sometimes people think they can trick us and sell us talent that's only going to benefit them and not us. I've gotten pretty good at spotting it, and I hate to say it, but your story doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You say you have a very lucrative talent, and I think you're telling me the truth, but there's something you aren't telling me too. Something important that's going to determine whether or not I want your talent. So why don't you go ahead and tell it while I'm still feeling charitable? Walter chewed this over, clearly not caring for the taste, but must have decided it might be time to extend a little trust. Okay, so things are going well. The bonuses are coming in on time, the network is happy, and on the surface it appears that everything is cherry. That, however, is just what we want the network to think. In reality, it's all barely held together. Julia, the woman who took over after Frank died, is pushing us too hard, and the new stuff, it isn't like the old stuff. The new stuff is too dark for a kid's show, too dark by half. She doesn't care, though. She wants it to hit the air. I don't even think it's because of the network anymore. I think something else is in her ear, but she won't talk about it. None of that matters to you, though. What matters to you is that I need to get away, while I still can get away. I need to get free of this while there's still a chance. Take my talent. I don't want it anymore. It isn't worth dying for. That's why I'm selling it, Mr. Seraph. I'm getting out of town before they... He paused and wiped his brow. Before the network and Julia get me and make me come back. Mr. Seraph didn't think that was all of it, but it was enough. This fellow was running from his responsibilities, from a toxic work environment, and ultimately trying to escape the scrabbling fingers of a contract. Mr. Seraph could get behind that, and if he was good enough to write for a major television network, then he probably had some substantial talent. Very well. That makes a lot more sense. Mr. Jones, take him to the extraction room and set him up with what he needs. Yes, sir, Lucifer said, opening the door and showing him out. Walter smiled, looking relieved for the first time since he'd come in. He was shaking hands and thanking both of them, saying it was an honor to work with them. He followed Lucifer out, and Mr. Seraph started writing up the necessary paperwork for the transaction. He could leave the total blank until they knew how much they were dealing with, but he figured it'd be worth at least 7 figures. The guy would have enough to escape the job that was holding him down, and they wouldn't pursue someone who could no longer write. It would be as close to a good deal as Mr. Seraph got in this business, and it was nice to help people sometimes, as long as he didn't make a habit of it. I still don't understand, Lucifer said, as they ate at the hibachi place up the road. Lucifer Jones had come to frequent the establishment, but Mr. Seraph just didn't see the appeal. Steak was steak, most of the time, and his young apprentice always swam the rice and veggies in this disgustingly sweet sauce that made him gag when he smelled it. Still, it was the boy's favorite, and Mr. Seraph liked to indulge him. Some would say it was because he liked having something like a friend, but the old devil would never admit to something so sentimental. "What is there to understand, Mr. Jones? We buy talent, and the clients have been bringing it to us lately. Sure, it sometimes comes with strings, but what's the harm with being a little known for this sort of thing?" "Nothing, I suppose," Lucifer said as he chewed on his food. "But why would a man trade his talent, a talent he could make a comfortable living with, for, what did we end up paying him? $3.5 million, Mr. Seraph said. A tidy sum, to be sure, but this guy probably could have made that writing for a successful show in the next 10 years. What's more, I don't think he needed the money, boss. He didn't argue, he didn't dicker, he just wanted the talent gone. I'm with you, sir, but it always feels weird when they do that." Mr. Seraph thought about it. "Well, are you saying you've never been tempted to sell your talent?" "Absolutely not," Lucifer said, as he sat down the bowl and patted his stomach. "My talent is a core part of who I am. I might as well sell you my eyes, my fingers, my tongue. I'd gladly do it before selling the thing that makes me special." Mr. Seraph smiled. "When I first met you, would you have held that same opinion?" "Unfortunately, it was never about the money for me. I always liked being important, being powerful, being known. You couldn't give me that, not with $1 billion. Besides, the ability to keep making money, that's more important than just having money." "Then you understand something most people do not," Mr. Seraph said as he paid the check. "If I have the ability to keep making money, then it's more important than all the money I can ever acquire. The trouble is that some people are unimaginative. They see the need for money, but not how it can be gained. They see money as the source of their salvation, and in that case they are correct. They would likely never have anything as valuable as the money I could give them, because they don't know how to use their talent. It's a kindness. I save them from the burden of expectation." Lucifer snorted as they headed back up the street to the office. "I doubt many of them see it that way." "It doesn't matter how they see it. The facts care very little about their feelings, and once it's gone, it's gone." As they walked, Mr. Seraph shuddered as he heard that creeping scuttering again. It had been following them since the transaction with Walter, though the loud restaurant had dulled it some. Now that they were back on the street, midnight more than an idea on the horizon, Mr. Seraph could hear it, clawing at them as they walked. The noise came out of the alleys, from the top of the buildings, from the doorways of deserted businesses, and from the throats of long, choked entryways. By day, the city was a vibrant place, full of opportunity. But by night, it became a grinning corpse, with a mouthful of old puke, and eyes writhing with maggots. "Perhaps it's time to move our operation," he said, drawing a questioning look from Lucifer. "Move? Why? This town is far from played out. There are clients and business potential, and too many people who know my name and know where to find me. That's not exactly good for a man in my position. I've had a place in mind for a while, somewhere we would be a little harder to find, but I've been waiting for the right time to..." He stopped when he came to the street that their business was on, and he saw the door to his shop had been pushed open hard enough to break the glass. "What the hell?" Lucifer said. but Mr. Seraph had put a hand out to stop him from running off. "Don't get ahead of yourself, Mr. Jones. Proceed with caution, and follow me." The two of them came into the dark waiting room and found Natalie waiting behind the desk. She was smiling, her eyes much too wide and staring, and as they approached her, she began to babble incoherently. "Mr. Seraph is away right now, but if you leave your name and number, he'll get back to you. Leave your name and number, name and back to you, you. As she babbled, something slid from the corner of her mouth, and when she began to shake, Mr. Seraph shook his head and led Lucifer into the building. "Shouldn't we—" he started, but the old devil shook his head. "There's no time. We need to see what exactly is broken in and what they're after. Most of our stock isn't something regular people know about or how to do anything with, so either it's a clueless crackhead or someone who knows what they're after." They left Natalie to her babbling and headed down the long hallway towards the offices beyond. The corridor was shadowy, the lights muted as they burned in their holders. The whole place seemed permeated by a thick layer of gloom, and as the two men made their way deeper into the cloying depths, amidst the fog there lived the same skittering laughter, the sound of something as it waited for the opportunity to pounce. "Maybe we should come back when it's light out," Lucifer said, hesitating as he came closer to the office door. "Why, you aren't scared, are you?" asked Mr. Seraph, noticing that the closer they got, the wider the crack in the door seemed to get. That dark edge was inviting somehow, the answer to an unasked mystery. Mr. Seraph crept towards it, pushing the door and letting it creak open with a funhouse squall of protest as he revealed the shadowy office beyond. Inside, someone was tossing aside the books on his shelf, scattering the leather-bound tomes left and right. Most of them were little more than showpieces, window dressing for a professional office, and it was pretty clear that the man who was turning his office into a pigsty was after something in particular. The man's suspenders were hanging down like strange tendons, and the back of his white shirt was extremely sweaty. As the muted light from the hall fell across the expansive bald spot on the back of his head, the man turned and revealed himself to be Walter, though probably not the same Walter who had come in earlier. "You got your money," Mr. Seraph said, smiling in the face of Walter's sweating visage, "and now you're hoping to get your talent back, too. Quite greedy, wouldn't you say, Walt?" But that was when he noticed the familiar black trickle coming from Walter's mouth. The eyes that had been so full of fear were now huge round marbles full of ink. He was panting, his breath ragged and thready, and as the goo fell onto the ground, it made a little plop, plip, plop sound. Walter, despite panting, was smiling, and that smile looked painful. "Give it back," Walter gurgled, his voice barely audible. "What?" Mr. Seraph asked, reaching for the light switch and wincing when the snap provided nothing but a deafening pop. "Your talent? It isn't yours anymore, Walter. You sold it so you could make a clean getaway from whatever it is that's chasing you. Remember?" Walter took a step forward, and it took all of his confidence and certainty not to step away. "Wasn't his to give, demon," Walter said. Mr. Seraph realized that Walter was talking in the third person for some reason. "It was ours, and we want it back." "If you would like to buy it," Mr. Seraph began, but whatever was piloting Walter thrust its hand to the side, and pushed a small collection of knickknacks and things off his desk. They seemed to profane the quiet office as they fell to the ground, but Mr. Seraph gave no ground. This was his office, and he wouldn't quail before whatever this was. Buy! His works are mine! He is mine! Return his writing, and I will allow you to live! Mr. Seraph almost laughed. I don't much care about Walter, having only just met him. Not him, he said, pointing behind the old demon. Him! Mr. Seraph realized that Lucifer had been quite quiet through this whole exchange, and turned to find his partner, his friend, standing at a slight tilt as he grinned at his boss. He was far more comfortable than Mr. Seraph had ever seen him, and he was watching the dark liquid fall from his mouth. He was shaking, twin lines sliding from his eyes and draining into the creases of his mouth. He was weeping and shaking, and he didn't seem to be speaking. What have you done? Mr. Seraph asked, spinning to face Walter. What in the hell are you doing? Give me back what is mine, it said, chuckling a little as it shook. Give it back, and you can... But Mr. Seraph was done playing along. Walter's eyes went as wide as his mouth as Mr. Seraph took him by the throat, pinning him to the wall. He reached into that gaping maw and caught hold of something. He pulled back, the thing feeling like taffy, and as he drew it from the man, he saw that it was more like a ball of tar. It gripped at his fingers as he tore it out, and as it hit the floor, he watched it take form. It was the approximation of a human, its tarish skin looking darker than the night around him. It seemed to have no eyes, but its mouth was too full of these huge white teeth. It grinned eternally, quietly and wetly chuckling to itself, and Mr. Seraph breathed out harshly as it oozed towards him. What are you? We are the audience. We are the gallery. We are legion. You cannot defeat us. It is pointless to try. In the end, we will always win. For a creature with no eyes, it was very expressive, as Mr. Seraph shed some of the glamour that hung around him. His long, powerful claws raked across the creature, and as it fell into black slop, Mr. Seraph sneered at the quivering bits. Legion. You claim to be a legion. Well, I know a little something about legions, and you lot are little more than shadows. Scurry away while you have the chance. You will find nothing here. He slashed again, but the little puddle of tar was already moving away from him. You cannot destroy us, devil. You have something we want, and we will not stop hounding you until we have it. You'll need to find another pet writer then, because I have paid for his talent, and now it belongs to me. Lucifer took a step, and Mr. Seraph realized it wasn't his first. He caught him by the shirt front, watching his smiling mouth open, and shoved his hand down it as he reached for the intruder. He drew it out, pulling out the sludge, but as he threw it as far from him as it would go, Mr. Seraph stepped into the hallway and closed the door, crumbling the knob in his hand as Lucifer coughed and hacked beside him. Mr. Seraph prepared to put a shoe down on the sludge as it came oozing from beneath the door, but it didn't. What the hell happened? Lucifer asked, coughing again as he looked around. I remember seeing the office, hearing the door open, and then... Have you left anything here that you can't do without? No, I don't think so. Why? Are we leaving? Yes, I think it's time we found a new hunting ground. This one has become dangerous. Lucifer nodded. I guess you're right. What the hell were those things? Later. Now, we have to go help Natalie and be on our way. But where are we going? Lucifer said, trying to keep pace with his boss. Where can we go? Somewhere that's a little harder to find. Somewhere we might find some help. Somewhere, he sighed, where I have family. Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show. If you think you might like a little more spooky in your life, then please feel free to click on one of the videos we have up here. Maybe look at one of the playlists if you're trying to get caught up. I know, there's so many videos on the channel. There's so many series that are going at the same time. Sometimes you just need a little refresher course, and I gotta say, I always enjoy the views. If you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell so you don't miss anything. We upload a lot on this channel, so you won't want to miss a single story as they come out. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click on the Amazon link down there. There's quite a few books in my Amazon account. You can have a look, and if you'd like a signed copy, get up with me through email, and I'll be happy to work something out with you. Also, there's links to my Patreon, and you can become a member on the channel if you'd like your spooky a little bit early. Patrons and members on the $5 tier get their videos 12 hours early. That's in the morning, as opposed to in the evening. Patrons at the $10 level also get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one. Speaking of my patrons, you should see them appearing right now. Just wanted to take a minute to say how much I appreciate all of you. Patrons, subscribers, however you give to the channel. I really appreciate everything you do, and it truly touches me that you have chosen to support the channel in this way. Well, that's enough for now. Till next time, Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.